fall back. You got everybody thinking I'm all bad. You know the truth. I was always holding you down. You down. Baby. What is this for this girl? What is love? What's that? Love, what is love? You believe it if I told you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Kickback Podcast. This is your boy, North End Floyd, man. This is EP.232, man. Jeez, that's a lot under the belt, man. It's a lot of episodes that I have done, man. And this is another dope one, man. We have another important person, man. We have the city manager in the building. I know a lot of y'all have questions about what's going on, what the city manager does. The city manager is actually a big piece to the puzzle, you know, as far as like Beaumont, Texas, and what you want to see in the future. So if you have any questions, which I already have questions, but if you have any questions, hey, just throw the questions up there, man. But like I said, this is EP.232. You can see this right now on YouTube. It is on LinkedIn. And if you want to listen to it later, you can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything that has anything to do with podcasting. I am on there, so you're not going to miss nothing. I do not want to hear people say, oh, man, I missed the show. You did not miss the show. You just missed the live show. You can go back later on tonight, watch it, vibe out. But in the meantime, I got my guest, Chris, back there. How you doing back there, bro?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
How was your day today, man? What's been going on?
Long day. You may have heard we had a bit of a water issue in the very southeast corner of the city, kind of more closer to, actually past Cardinal, kind of more closer to OCI and the prisons and stuff down there. But it's been a long night, I know, for our crew. Trying to get that squared away. So we had a boil water notice down in, not citywide, but down in that end of town.
Okay.
And our hope is that gets lifted tomorrow. We do testing to make sure the water's safe to drink. And I hope that'll come through tomorrow, and then we'll be able to lift that notice. But again, not citywide. It's well in the southeast corner of the city.
So it's not too many residential homes that was
correct
affected by that.
Not many. Mostly businesses, industry, and then, like I said, the institutions down there.
What would determine like a citywide ball notice?
So, there are different sort of parts of the city in terms of that are served by different water sources. And so it's a big system. And so depending on the extent of the issue, it could theoretically always be a citywide. And so it depends on what happens, but also, what we've got to do to prove up that the water is safe to drink is we've got to do bacterial testing. And so we'll do sample testing around where the affected area is. It takes about a day to get those results back. But once they come back clean, we can lift that notice.
I wonder if somebody don't boil their water, they get sick.
Yeah, theoretically it's possible. Yeah. So,
make sure y'all boil y'all water. Do y'all send that like a
just in the very southeast,
just in the southeast,
not citywide.
Not citywide. I'm just hypothetically saying, y'all make sure when if it ever happens, to don't be hard headed and boil your water and things like that. So that's good to know though. But like you said, it takes like a day or two for.
It takes a day to get the test results back, and then the issue that caused this has been resolved. So now it's just flushing lines, testing, and then we got to wait for the test to come back. Once they come back okay, then it's a clean bill of health, and then we'll lift that notice. Again, it's very southeast end of the city, not citywide.
I wonder if the news, because I seen that, so I didn't really pay attention to the details of what they said as far as the southeast corner, how you broke it down to not citywide, but just southeast. Because the news, man, they can leave out some important details sometimes.
Yeah, it's tricky because you want to get the message out quickly, but you want to get it out accurately. And so we actually last night did a voluntary notice, just again in that corner of the city, just because even though it wasn't required at the time, we wanted to err on the side of caution just to make sure if there's any issue, it's better to be safe than sorry. So we did a voluntary notice last night just to get out ahead of it. And then it shifted into a formal notice this morning. And then, like I said, hopefully by this time tomorrow, it will be lifted.
Okay, that's what's up. So are you from Beaumont? Where are you from?
Well, actually, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa. Okay.
Yeah, lived in Orlando a little while. Mostly grew up in Mobile.
Oh, for real, Mobile.
Yeah, yeah.
They said that's the first Mardi Gras.
It was, yeah, yeah. The French started it there early in the 1700s. So New Orleans took it to another level. So.
What do you think about our Mardi Gras? It left. It's not here no more.
Yeah, I know they're kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's a tricky deal. You know, you mentioned Mobile and New Orleans. They've been doing it for hundreds of years.
Yeah, for real. That's the thing.
It's hard to kind of start up from scratch. And I know they've been doing it in Port Arthur for many years, but they're just trying to figure it out. So, I mean, the reality is I think we should have something.
Yeah.
You know, I think our culture, you know, has a lot of shared values with Louisiana and that kind of French roots. And so I think we need to have something. What that is, again, I think everybody's trying to figure that out.
We need that 11th Street cruise back, man.
Yeah, I know they're talking about that as well.
But I know businesses were kind of mad about the parking, and
there's some pushback on it as well. So we're looking at that as well.
Speaking of Terry said, not sure how the contractor tied the sewer and water lines together. Aren't the lines different colors inside? Terry is so, when it comes to water, that's the water man. Like, yeah. Terry, appreciate you, Terry, for tapping in, man. So grew up in Tulsa.
Yeah, well, yeah, born in Tulsa and then Mobile. But my family and I, we've been here almost 24 years. So
okay.
Yeah, I've lived here longer than anywhere else. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
definitely home.
So been working for the city for 20, been out here 24.
Yep.
Okay, that's what's up. So how was it growing up with you?
Pretty easy going, pretty straightforward.
You wasn't bad wilding out.
I think I try to keep my nose clean. I had an older brother who seemed like he was always in trouble, so I was like, well, I think I want to avoid all that.
That's good to have an older brother in trouble. That way you can just slide in and just, you don't have to, all the attention is to him. Yeah. You could just do your thing.
Yeah, yeah. So he drew most of the heat away from me. So I just kind of slid on through. So all pretty good.
In 2022, when you first started, how was the city in 2002 when you first started getting into it? How was it then?
That's a good question. It's kind of like a lot of things. I guess the older you get, the way I look at a lot of things, some things are better, some things are worse. But looking back, to me, I think we have a lot more good things in terms of, we got a lot more businesses, restaurants. I can remember coming here and, there were a handful of good restaurants.
Yeah.
It just seems like now there are more.
There's so many options out here.
And I mean, I think about the number of festivals we have now.
Yeah.
I think about, the number of amenities we have now. We've got the hike and bike trails, Rotary Playground, the skate park, the event center downtown. Just so, there's certain things that are better, certain things that are worse. But,
yeah. I think
better for overall better.
I think the hike and bike trails is like a low key blessing though. It's like, I think it's pretty cool because, like without them, like, a lot of people didn't really have too many places they wanted to go walk and do those things. So I think we need like at least a couple more in the city.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's been great. And you're right. It's pretty low key. People, you peek out and it's like, man, there's a bunch of people. In fact, we live in Old Town. So what I'll do is I'll get up early before the traffic starts and I'll ride out to a hike and bike trail and then do the loop on my bike and then head home. But, not a couple times I'll just go and count the people. Cause if you're walking, you say, oh, there are a few people out there. But if you're on a bike, you can kind of ride the whole circuit. And, and I've been out there where I've counted 100 people.
Oh, so you're the bike rider out there.
I'm the bike rider. I try to keep my distance, make sure I'm not getting too close to everybody. But I like to ride my bike.
They talking about, I know a lot of people in this neighborhood, they talk about we need a bike little road on Dishman. Because there's a lot of people that ride their bikes and you got to kind of.
Yeah, I used to ride road bikes more on the road. And again, we're looking at improve enditionment out here a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. We've got it in the proposed
I heard about that.
CIP. So hopefully it'll end up in the formal CIP as part of the budget process, which we're in that process right now.
Yeah, for sure. What my boy say? He said all the tracks are closed to the public. Hike and bike is a blessing. What's up, Ken? Shout out to Kendrick. Shout out to Regina. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Please share it if you haven't already. So what it technically is a typical day for you as the city manager?
So checking emails and stuff probably starts about 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of doing that. Meetings generally start, about 8 or 9,
Mm-hmm.
and I may have 7, 8 meetings a day.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so throughout that, it's, fielding phone calls, fielding emails, text messages, just there's so many channels now, checking Facebook, making sure we're kind of on top of things.
Mm-hmm.
So many channels to, receive information and share information. So that's part of it. But a lot, just a lot of meeting, different entities and stuff. And then, oftentimes we have events after work, and then again, all that continues, and, checking emails till about 10 o'clock at night.
So you check emails at home too? I know some people that I work with, they do not check emails once they leave.
Yeah, you can,
but you really can't though. They
pile up.
Yeah, you can't be really ignoring emails or phone calls.
Yeah, it's funny, thinking back 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and the return time on an email, a couple days. You get back somebody in a day or two, you're good. But now it's like, the expectations for kind of real time communications are up there. So, emails you probably need to get to, at least within a day. Some stuff, of course, takes longer. But.
Yeah. It was a suggestion. Somebody said, hopefully we'll see a walking trail around Magnolia Park one day. How could we make that? Who would we have to talk to get a trail? Is that Parks and Services? Like, how would somebody in that neighborhood?
Yeah. So I'd say 2 things. One is we just finished Parks Master Plan, which looked at all of our 36 parks, looked at what amenities they have, and then kind of scored them on like playground equipment. What needs to be replaced? What amenities does this park might need? And so it's it's basically a game plan for the parks, for several years ahead of time. And so that just got approved. So as we look at the budget, we're looking at that kind of shopping list of what we'd love to see. Also, the bond, infrastructure bond.
Yeah, man.
Part of that is looking at sidewalks. And so we're going to be doing a master plan on that to see where sidewalks should go. Most of those are going to be on the street, of course.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But having said all that, even though the plan is set, it doesn't mean it's set. So neighbors can always reach out to their council members. In our system, the good thing is you have a ward representative, 2 at large, and then you have a mayor. And then you can always reach out to the city and say, hey, we'd love to see, Magnolia Park, we'd love to see a walking trail.
Yeah.
So even though the plan's set, it's not set in stone. It can always be looked at. So let's say we think, hey, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd want to get it into the capital plan, depending on the scope of it, but get it in the budget, hopefully be able to fund it. The other thing I will say is we have been very aggressive with grants.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a full-time grant person, and that's what she does is search grants. She does a really good job at identifying them, going after them. You'll see on Tuesday's agenda, I think there are 3 or 4 or more where we're just applying for grants. Cause again, that's going to leverage. Obviously you probably heard we've got some budget challenges we're looking at. So we're trying to leverage every dollar we have to make sure we can, continue to do a lot of the good things we have been doing, even facing these the budget issues.
Yeah. How did you feel about the bond? Most of it didn't pass. I, for one, voted for most of the things on the bond. I think it was except for the Parkway by the mall. They tried to do the street going to 105, and I just thought 105 was a little bit already congested. So
that's fair. Yeah. So generally, I was for I think, well, most, if not all, the propositions. Hindsight's 2020, so we
Mhm.
can always look back and say, well, maybe it should have been smaller. Maybe we should have given, instead of, breaking it into those categories that we had, maybe we should have given like a menu and just said, look,
Mm.
y'all can pick and choose. And I think that's a valid argument. So, we obviously learned some lessons. The infrastructure passed, the other ones didn't. So as we look at perhaps doing it again in, I think November of 28 is the earliest we can do it again.
Okay.
We'll look at basically taking those lessons we learned and then, trying to, maybe have a smaller bond issue, but
Mhm.
we've got time to try to figure it out.
Is that the goal, to try to have another bond in 2028, or are you already kind of low key planning for that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes, we are. But knowing that, again, we have some budget issues. So if, as long as we can get that, and I'm confident we can get that, get on the right trajectory with the budget. But, if 2 years from now we're struggling, then it might have to be pushed off. But the hope is that we can do it again.
Okay. What is your biggest surprise as far as like serving as the city manager?
That's a good question.
Is it more stressful than what you thought, or is it not stressful at all? Is this just something like,
It's stressful, and in good stress. In other words, it's not. It's about what you expected. The biggest surprise, and maybe I'll just say it's kind of the hardest thing is you have so many good folks, good organizations trying to do good things in our city and improve our city. And so they come to us, as you can imagine, asking for help and often, funding. And so, the hardest thing is just having to say no, and knowing that if you could help, that you'd think that they would make some progress in this, that area, or that. And so that's kind of that's the challenge. That's the kind of the surprise, is just having to say, but still trying to stay positive and trying to help where we can.
you were like unanimous as far as people selecting you for the city manager, right?
It was a 7-0 vote. Yes, sir.
How does that feel at everybody? Because I think the last few, they had a little resistance as far as people supporting the city manager. Like 7-0. I mean, the board loving you.
Yeah, the whys and the what fors, I don't know, because I wasn't in those conversations.
True.
I can just say that it's obviously good to be in that position because we while we have a lot of opportunities, we have a lot of challenges, and so the more the community can show that we're all rowing in the same direction as often as possible, then obviously that's going to make things go better.
Yeah, it was a little rough at first, getting it all together. I mean, there's a lot of social media quarrels going on and stuff, but I think it's pretty good now. I think everything's pretty smooth right now.
Yeah, things are pretty good right now. But it's always, rarely is it without any drama. So.
Nah, for real. Yeah,
it's just part of it.
Yeah, it just seemed like y'all just had to mesh. Y'all just had to come together, and it seemed like it's pretty good right now. So
yeah, it feels pretty good right now. So.
What's the most important skills of having a city manager? What do you think that to make a city manager that you need to have?
Well, you do have to. It's a complicated system. It's a variety of things you have to know, and so the whole idea behind having a city manager versus, say, a strong mayor system of government. Maybe the citizens elect the mayor and the mayor runs the day to day, kind of like Houston and some other cities. The idea behind the city manager form of government, which we have, it all came out of the Galveston hurricane aftermath. And it's like, you really need a professional running the day to day. And that helps to take, some of the politics out of, the day-to-day running, and you have a professional with educational background, experience, and all that good stuff, as opposed to electing somebody who may be very good and bright, but may not have, that kind of experience with government, because government is different than business. Often you have a mayor that comes out of the private sector, which is always good. But the reality is local governments are, there's a lot of rules and regulations, because we're dealing with, of course, the state and their their requirements, the federal government, their requirements. And so it gets pretty complicated pretty quickly. So you really need to have that knowledge base.
Yeah, I know you've been in the news lately. Is that you that said that you wanted to grow Beaumont, the population by 10,000?
Well, so my stated goal, yes, was to grow our population to 120,000.
Yes.
By 2030. So 2030 is our
Okay.
next census. Right now, we're probably at about 113, 114,000. So yes, as a real number, it might be 5,000 or 6,000 people, which in the scheme of things maybe is not that big of an increase. But the thing is, 2030 is coming up before we know it.
Yes.
We're getting closer to 27. And so the things we need to do to get us there is, even though that's not a big number, I think the things we need to do to get us in that direction will help us moving past 2030. So 2040. So we have been stable at about 113, 14, 15 for 60 plus years.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's like, and again, we've lost a lot of population to the bedroom communities around us.
Mm-hmm.
So the regional population is still pretty big, but you know, the ways Texas is growing,
I know.
we need to tap into some of that. And so anyway, even though it's not a small number, I think the things we need to do to get us moving in that direction, you know, it would pay off for decades to come.
Yeah, you're trying to make history, man. You're trying to turn around. It's like turning around the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm very high on Beaumont. I'm very positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm realistic. I know we've got challenges.
Yeah, we do.
Talk about the school. We can talk about crime,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so many opportunities. And so I think if we're smart about it, prudent, we're not too pie in the sky. We need to focus on public safety. We need to focus on infrastructure, but we have so many assets here in terms of the highway, the rail, the port, the industry, Lamar, LIT, on and on and on. I mean, many cities would love to have some of these assets. You know,
yeah.
we are in Texas, which is, depending on who you ask, the 6th, 7th, 8th largest economy in the world.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you know, when we moved here, I think there are about 20 million people in Texas.
Yeah.
Fast forward, now they're 30 million.
Yeah, it's growing.
So,
it's growing pretty. Yeah.
So, I just feel like, you know, I think if we do the right things, we're prudent about it, we can get there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the highway, they're building the highway up, and also the school district. I think we have, you know, they have a new superintendent, and she's vowing to turn it around in a couple of years. So, I mean, it seems like things is working at the right time, kind of meshing together, and it could be like a perfect timing as far as what y'all are doing.
Correct. I mean, there's the model that they're bringing in to BISD. Not to get too far into that, because again, this is a little bit out of our wheelhouse.
Yes.
We're here to support, but we are so dependent upon the school system in terms of our future. And so, you know, them bringing in that model where it's very structured, you know, very regulated, very prescriptive, to say this is what we're going to have in every class and every day, and you know, we're going to measure performance and all that. You know, the proof is in the pudding. So if you look at I think Houston just came out with some scores, and the number of A's and B's was, schools just really went up. And
I seen that.
It's like, okay, well, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I did see that as far as the things going on. And another thing, as far as the census is important for people to actually fill out, because Miss Ava, she got me into the census maybe
Miss Graves.
Yes, Miss Graves, maybe 4 years ago. I didn't really pay attention and know the importance of the census, and she really educated me. And it's very important, because some people would kind of ignore it, or just don't really, you know, fill it out. Or I guess that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. It's very important, because people don't realize a lot of our grant, a lot of our allocations, we're an entitlement city for HUD. You get a certain amount of dollars for transit, CDBG, and all kinds of grants. And so almost always the formula starts with, what is your population?
Yeah.
And that drives a lot of the dollars. And so, it's very important to fill out.
Do you see any city like the size of Beaumont, the population, that is doing successful, and you kind of all right, we're gonna implement some things that city in California or New York or whatever that they're doing?
Yeah, I guess there's no one city I can point to that says, "Hey, that's the model for us."
Mm.
That said, my whole life I've always been like, "All right, I'm looking at different cities who are doing different things right, and how can we bring that to Beaumont?"
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I'm always looking. And the flip side is maybe cities that aren't doing things right. I'm also looking to be fair to, well, to be, I guess, to be honest in the approach
Mhm.
is to say, okay, cities like Beaumont, so a population our size, demographics our size, let's look at apples to apples. Are they doing some stuff right? Are they doing some stuff wrong? So
Mhm.
always looking.
Now as far as the biggest challenge, you say the budget. Is that like crisis mode, or is that
No.
something that you can kind of fix, or y'all looking at something that kind of
No, it is not crisis. It is we're not broke, but
Okay.
it's kind of like at your house where it's like, all right, we're bringing in X dollars, but we're spending this, and you can keep dipping into your savings,
Mhm.
but you don't want to, that's kind of your rainy day fund.
Mm.
And so you don't want to do that month after month, year after year, because then you won't have a rainy day fund. So we're not broke. It's just if normally we'll look out a year and see where we're going to be in a year, and that's okay because all the a budget is just an estimate based on the numbers we have now and the numbers we think we'll have.
Mm.
But based on our current trends, the gap between spending and revenues continues to grow. So that's the challenge.
Somebody said look at Pflugerville, but the only thing with Pflugerville is it's like right there in Austin. It's like a suburb. It's like Pflugerville, Austin, right there.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned, I'm gonna look at I do look at Pflugerville for different elements,
Mhm.
different programs, different projects. How do they handle this, that, or the other? But yeah, every city's different, so you can't really say we're gonna look at exactly this city. But yeah, I mean, if you're on your proximity to Austin or you're in the Metroplex,
Yeah.
don't want to make excuses, but you have to make sure it's apples to apples. But again, even in cities that are very different from ours, you can still find good ideas, good programs, good projects to say, hey, I think that might work in Beaumont.
Yeah, I know. I just seen something that y'all posted. Well, they talking about a food truck park right there on Concord. Uh, yeah, I think it's right there behind Target. I think there is some land for food trucks.
Yeah,
That
that
they
was a rezoning at the last meeting to put a food truck there on Concord, kind of behind Target. And it got a little bit of discussion because the city has been interested in doing a food truck park in the downtown area.
I see. Yeah.
And it's actually in the budget for this year. We did a request for proposals to see if we could get a private sector partner to go in with us on it, and we didn't get a very good response last year. So we're actually in the process right now of going out for RFP again to see if we can get some interest, and might reach out to those guys on Concord, see if they might
Yeah,
come down
I'm
there.
curious to see how they're gonna try to make that happen and stuff. Somebody was saying how Pflugerville is all connected by trails and creeks. I mean, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I could see, the city. I always thought like the hike and bike. We need like a hike and bike with like a pond or something like that with ducks, and people can just go and could be a nice little park they can.
Yeah, we did that lake downtown by the event center.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, obviously, we're very flat, and so drainage
Okay.
is always a challenge for us. But
Yeah.
we have all these, especially working with DD6, LNVA, we've got these canals,
Mhm.
and so a lot of times you might have enough right of way where you could put a trail, a greenway that might connect some of this. So you might be able to connect this detention pond with this trail and this
Okay.
neighborhood. So I think part of that sidewalk master plan, we will take a look at, are there any opportunities there?
Okay. Like that's as far as the vision. Now, as far as the opportunities, because you said, growing Beaumont about 7,000-8,000. What kind of opportunities do you see over the next decade?
Well, so, we really look at economic development. So we're obviously petrochemical based.
We are.
So we're always pursuing that angle, but really want to take a look at maybe some diversified efforts that we don't really have much of. So working with the chamber, discussing with them about some strategic efforts because, whether it's battery manufacturing or chip manufacturing or some things that we don't have, we've got some distribution coming in.
Yep.
And so, what makes sense, for us, I think data centers are becoming a hot topic and maybe,
the data centers with the water.
Yeah, they need water. They need power.
Are you willing to bring a data center?
I don't know. I used to think, let's consider it, but now there's so much pushback.
It is a lot of pushback.
I need to go visit one and put my ear up to it because I hear sometimes they're a challenge. So
yeah,
I don't want to put that out there yet, but
yeah, I forgot what town was trying to get a data center, but it was a lot of pushback on it, man.
Yeah.
They say it uses so much water.
I think the governor just came out maybe today, and he had a whole list of things that they want to impose, but that includes a closed circuit of water. So I was talking to a guy who's building one out in West Texas, and I was asking him, you using raw water, city water, can you recirculate it? He said it just depends, but they weren't circulating it. So I think the governor came out and said, look, you got to provide your own power, or at least sufficient for the, basically pay up to provide the power through your local utility or, individually, and then have a closed loop water system, because those are the two big challenges. But then also I hear talk of noise pollution and all kinds of stuff.
Does growth as far as like downtown, is that importance to you? I know the mayor, he wanted a big river walk, which I'm not opposed to anybody with a vision to try to, grow the city and stuff. But is that important? So that's a little bit down the list, especially right now with the budget.
Yeah, it is important. It's not a hot topic priority right now because we just went through the bond exercise and the public kind of said, look, we don't want to do X, Y, and Z. The Riverwalk is more of a 30-year down the, this is where we want to be 20, 25, 30 years down the road. That's a big project.
That's a big project.
And I don't think we or the public has the appetite for that right now.
They don't.
That, again, looking at other cities and their success, I think probably our best bet is more the incremental approach where, you look at Crockett Street, that was a big project. And when it kind of didn't go, eventually, it became a problem. Well, now you look at Riverside Grill, where they're doing very well.
I like Riverside Grill.
Yeah. So then you look at Hearsay.
Yeah, the guy Hearsay. Yeah.
Some other restaurants down there. So it's like, kind of a granular, incremental, kind of a more organic, instead of we're going to do one big catalytic project and it's going to, build it and they will come. I don't think we're there.
Yeah. They're building apartments, along like Northwest Beaumont. We ever thought about like building some more apartments downtown? Cause they do have like a few little condos, and, if you build and have people already out there, you already got people in the downtown area, and you got restaurants, you got shops. And
yeah, I think, I think that's one of the big things that's missing. I mean, we talk about the hotel on the river, and I do think that is missing. How do we get there? Well, we need to try to figure that out. But in the meantime, residential. I think if you had, some high quality residential downtown, because as you know, when you got events and things during the day, it's pretty busy. You have events at night, it's pretty busy. But if you go on a Tuesday night and there aren't any events, obviously it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Now there's perceptions of crime. I'll add, and the reality is there's not very much crime downtown.
No, it's not, and you don't, and it's not that much homeless downtown.
No, I mean we have some issues around some other place, Salvation Army, on Calder and that doing in that area. But in terms of
like crossing over into
camps downtown, there's not that. We do have some issues right around those facilities, but not big camps or anything.
Yeah, like you see at big cities. That's where they hang out. Austin, Houston. I went to the Houston Dynamo game. It was homeless, so you got to pass all through there and stuff.
Yeah, and Houston's they're opening a center not too far from the stadium over there. So that'll be interesting to watch.
As far as like local business, I mean, are y'all working with local businesses to kind of, as far as the citywide? I think I heard one time it was kind of hard working with not the city, but I guess the inspectors or something.
Yeah. I mean, so it's kind of a tough business in that, our inspectors are hired to basically enforce the codes that the city council adopts. And the codes, if I stacked them up, probably be taller than I am. Some of those codes are mandated by the state. Some of them are even come down through the feds. And of course, the international codes that are adopted by the council. So it's a difficult job because you're basically having to, tell people, fail their inspections from time to time, but we try to make sure that they have the right attitude so that, most things in the code are kind of black and white, but if there's a gray area, we want to encourage them to always err on the side of the business or the homeowner. But the thing to keep in mind is, you want to make sure it's built correctly and safely. For a lot of folks, their home is their biggest investment. Business, you got mortgages and big investments. And so you want to make sure it's done right. But, customer service, we could always do better. And we're working on that. That said, one of the things we implemented many years ago was a pre-development hearing for anyone at any stage of a business or even a home. We don't. So if let's say you want to open a new restaurant in Beaumont, we encourage you to come in and sign up for a Thursday morning deal where you're able to meet with all the folks that are involved in the review process. And the key is communication and avoiding surprises. That's the biggest issue we have is somebody says, "Hey, I want to open a restaurant." And I found a spot in this new strip center that's on Major. And all they're thinking, oftentimes they're thinking, I'm going to have my kitchen here and my tables here and all this. And I just need to get my permit and get going. Well, the reality is, you need to make sure, do you have a vent hood? Do you have a grease trap? And so a lot of folks are like, a grease trap. Oh, I assume that, the space had it, but it doesn't. And so it's like the earlier in the process you can start having the conversation, we can say, "Hey, do you have a vent hood? Do you have a grease trap? If it's an event facility, do you have a sprinkler system? What does that look like?" Because those are the common things that are surprises, and that our goal is to avoid the surprises.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I guess that's your job, is trying to make Beaumont attractive for like investors and entrepreneurs and that people that want to come here and build stuff. Cause I know like on I-10, you have like the main event and now it's, I guess the corridor, the I-10 is kind of, building, cause it's kind of hard to get to those places sometimes.
Yeah. Well, certainly the interstate system it'll be great once they finish.
What's that plan? Have you heard the plan? I heard it was like 2030 or something like that when it was going.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That was the latest. So there'll be parts of it that I think that finish sooner, but in terms of the whole project, it's going to take a while, but it'll be good once it's done.
What made you, cause being a city manager and that can be a stressful job. What made you get into public service? You always had a thing for it to?
Yeah. I mean, early on, I mentioned I grew up in Mobile early, downtown Mobile was pretty rough back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right. Like early 80s. And then I saw how the city had invested in a hotel. And then I saw how they invested in a convention center on the river.
Yeah.
And I saw how they were developing this plan. And so I was like, well, that's interesting. And then, I was fortunate enough to work, implementing some of that stuff while I worked for the city of Mobile. And then, fast forward 25 years later, if we go and visit, it's not perfect. They have a long way to go. But compared to how it was back in the early 80s, a lot of progress. So, way back when I was like, okay, so, and then you can go to other cities where you see where they invested, before even that. And so I always feel like, even though we've had several good efforts and good investments over the decades downtown, I feel like, we still need to keep at it, because at the end of the day, you're downtown, is common to every part of the city.
Mhm.
You know, it's the kind of the hub, and it's really the heart of any city, I think.
Yeah. And I see how y'all have Riverfront Park. I went to a few events out there. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah. And so that's just it. The amenities like Riverfront Park, getting that restored. You know, that's the other thing we're really trying to push or continue to push is events. Because if you went to Mural Fest.
I went to Mural Fest.
Yeah. And, you know, then we're doing like some kind of low-key concerts on a Sunday afternoon that aren't very, you know, not much to it, but a place. And we're not promising much. Just bring your picnic blanket and a picnic basket, and we'll provide the music. And so we're trying little things like that again to try to leverage those assets because, you know, it's really nice down the river. And
no, it is nice. I think they should expand it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think it could go all the way down to I-10.
Yeah. And we're looking at you know, doing some enhancements in the park and then upland a little bit. Try to get another crossing over there. So you can get back and forth from the Civic Center easier. So, you know, we're looking at a lot of things, but yeah, that's again, we mentioned, you know, good things going for Beaumont. I mean, the river and the opportunities there are really strong.
Yeah, that was one of my questions as far as like, what are some things that like Beaumont residents should be excited about? I mean, we already know what's going on out there lately, but as far as Beaumont residents, what would you say is something that they can be excited about?
Well, I would just say that we're, you know, everybody's different. Everybody has different priorities. You know, for a lot of folks, it's infrastructure, and we're spending a lot of money on infrastructure, streets, water. We have hundreds of miles of streets, hundreds of miles of water lines, sewer lines, storm sewer. We're spending a lot of money to get our infrastructure up to where it needs to be. Yeah, honestly, I think not in the last few years. I would say more like, you know, 30, 40 years ago, there was, I would say, some kind of deferred maintenance on our infrastructure. You know, parts of the city are very old. The infrastructure is old. So, you know, so we're definitely focused on that. But again, just a lot of, you know, a lot of new amenities. You mentioned the hike and bike trail, skate park, you know, the things we've got going on downtown, the events. And that's one of the things, you know, I talk about, you know, like we've got 6 priorities that we're trying to work on. And I kind of think of a 7th, and that is, you know, we, and it's just my opinion. Sometimes we're kind of our own worst critics in Beaumont. Sometimes like we're very,
negative. Without a doubt.
You know, I think about, we try to get to New Orleans when we can. And I think about, does New Orleans have a crime problem?
Oh, without a doubt they do. Yes.
But are people proud to be from New Orleans?
Oh man, I always talk about that. And I just had a conversation with a friend, and we was talking about like Venus and Serena from Compton.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you always hear bad things about Compton, but you don't ever hear them talk about it. You know, like, and they're proud of where they're from.
Right.
So
yeah, we have challenges? Yes, we do. But again, I think, I don't know, we have so much going for us. You know, just a rich history, great food, great music, just a very rich culture. And, you know, for some reason, we just seem to be kind of down on ourselves sometimes.
I don't know why, man.
I think we need to be, you know, championing, you know, the good things about Beaumont. And I'm probably preaching the choir here, but, you know, it's just any opportunity we have. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about from the city side, working with the CBB, maybe the chambers, you know, kind of a, you know, an I Am Beaumont campaign. So, you know, we can, you know, paint that positive image, not just for folks who are thinking about visiting here or moving here, but for our own population, to make sure that we're positive about Beaumont. We recognize, you know, the good things we do have going on.
Is that a campaign? I Am Beaumont?
Not yet.
Oh, so that's coming, man. Hey, man, you don't know the people I'll be having a battle for Beaumont, man. Yo, I want to be a part of that I Am Beaumont campaign for real, though. Like, I'm proud to be from Beaumont. Like, so that's what we need, though, for real. Carly, she talked about she wanted to understand more about the ball water notice. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. So after the show, you could just check it out. It's gonna be on my Facebook page. It's gonna be on YouTube, and it's gonna be on like all these other platforms. Like I said, Spotify and iHeartRadio and stuff. So at the beginning of the show, we talked a lot about the ball water notice. It's not citywide. So, but yeah, we did talk about that. But yeah, like as far as the pride thing, I don't know why people are just so down on it. Like, like that's crazy to me though. I'm a prideful person, so
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I don't get it sometimes, but I think we're gonna do our best to see if we can change that narrative.
yeah. And also, I think, and I know that doesn't have anything to do with you as far as that's a different field, but as far as like Lamar, like I think, uh, like the city needs to embrace Lamar more. Like we should see like Lamar posters and signs in the North End and in the West End and stuff to and even on the highway when like they come in, it's like a Lamar, like welcome to the home of Lamar. Like I just think like we should like push Lamar a little bit, because that's a dope college too. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I know we're doing some work with TechStot to try to play up the Cardinal and things like that. But I agree. I mean, definitely an opportunity to increase partnership. And they're not that far from downtown. And so
no,
we
they're right there.
talked about trying to get some different things going between Lamar and downtown. But you're right. It's a wonderful asset and tremendous economic boon to the city.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. He's part of Lamar. It's a Lamar program, a campaign team or something. He's supposed to hit me up with that, but like, yeah, I'm just think like, other than like Lamar area where you see like Lamar and you see some stuff, but I just think it should be throughout the city. As far as Lamar, I know they went to as far as baseball, they won their conference title, so that was pretty dope for them.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
As far as like residents, do you insist that residents get more involved in local government?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we absolutely. I mean,
Or is that too much confusion when you have too many talking heads and people just
no. I mean, we encourage input, participation. We tried I mentioned the parks plan earlier. As
Mhm.
we're working on the comprehensive plan right now, and that's kind of a roadmap, not just for parks, but what does the city want to be, kind of in 20 or 30 years. We're working on that right now. So there's a big effort to get public input as we go through that process. So yeah, democracy is, you need to participate, and whether that's, you know, a letter to your congressman or reaching
Mhm.
out, via Facebook to your council person or coming to a council meeting or participating in a public input meeting. I think it's very important.
Yeah, Carly said I hear a lot of anti-Beaumont sentiment from people who got nothing to do with us and don't live here neither. And she said I love my city. Yeah, that is the perception. Sometimes you see in the comments and you see people outside of Beaumont commenting and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Sometimes I get frustrated and I'll dig down and I'll see, wait a minute, you don't even live here.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, they talk about the proposition, like the bond. They're like, oh, no, they're like you live in Sacramento or whatever. So, but yeah, as far as like the misconceptions, as far as people have about city government, like do you hear a lot of misconceptions? Like people put like a lot of blame. Like I guess people can talk about like the school district, which y'all are not connected like that.
Yeah, there are misconceptions, whether it's the school district, again, um, we focus on what we can control and we don't control the school district. Now, are we going to try to be a part of the solution and to be part of that puzzle? Yes. I mean, how to support it, we're there, but that's not our core competency, I guess you'd say. That's not our primary function, but so goes the school district, that goes the city. So it's 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 definitely important to us, but it's not our core competency. But yeah, I mean, it gets into minutia, but for years there was complaints about Ford Park and the city did
Oh yeah,
this, and it's like, well,
yeah. For yeah, I
that's a
talked to.
county function.
I
But
got a guy who's a part of Ford Park. He's gonna come on the Saturday show, and I guess he's gonna dispel a lot of stuff as far as Ford Park because I know they had the Mardi Gras out there, And a lot of people was mad that the Mardi Gras was way out there for a park and they were circling the parking lot. And people was like, and you being from Mobile and seeing people was not on the circle in the parking lot thing. Is it hard doing something like that for the city? Because the city would have to pay for like the policing and all that, right?
Yeah, that's a challenge. And again, it's like people think the city is doing it, and we're just helping to facilitate it. So when they did it downtown for a couple of years, yes, we participated in terms of help from the Convention Visitors Bureau, and we help in different ways to help, make sure it's safe and help with the parade and all that good stuff. But yeah, once it goes that, and that's where it gets a little complicated. Once that is a nonprofit and they do what they want to do, we don't control them. And so once they went out to Ford Park, again, that's between the county and this nonprofit. It has nothing to do with the city. We support whatever they're doing, but that's not us. So that's some people have misunderstandings, like, they think that we're responsible for closing a grocery store or opening a grocery store. All we can do is try to prevent it or try to support it when it comes in through economic incentives. We certainly do that, but we're not the end all be all of everything. Certain things we do, but not everything.
Yeah. Now, crime has been a major issue as far as the city goes, as far as like the young, the teens and stuff. People have been implementing curfews and things. Do you get with the chief of police and the mayor? Do y'all come to like as far as like how can y'all deal with some of these issues that's going on?
Yeah, I've been officially on the job since May 1st. I've spent a lot of time on this question. But yeah, the mayor and the chief and I meet, regularly. The reality is our statistically, our violent crime rate has been going down. But
that's what they say.
Because of these high profile deals, again, it's young adults, and it's, it's terrible stuff. So, statistics, just that. So yes, I mean, we're meeting, and, in terms of, apprehending, the folks involved, the police department does a great job with that.
They are catching them.
Yeah. The flip side is, okay, well, how do we get here? And so we've spent a lot of time with the mayor's coalition and different groups in that space to say, let's rewind and see how do we get to this point? And so there's a lot of good folks doing a lot of good work in that space in terms of mentorships, internships, helping with at-risk youth. There's a lot of good work going on, but there's just, because of this rash of incidents, people are just like, there's definitely an appetite to try to do more.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that are getting involved. There's a lot of people that want to be a part of mentorships, mentor programs. I think Aaron Barnhill and LaDonna have been trying to implement some mentorships programs and stuff. But as far as how do you think residents can help create safer neighborhoods? Is it by as far as like creating how you got some neighborhoods that that what crime watch and all that?
Yes. I mean, so Crime Stoppers, and again, we kind of, the way it used to be is everybody kind of kept an eye on stuff. Now it just seems like everybody's more and more isolated. And this is not just a Beaumont issue. This is kind of citywide. I once read a theory that air conditioning caused a lot of the crime wave because people used to sit out front on their porch to stay cool, keeping an eye on everything. And then they went inside and started watching TV and staying cool. It was like, who knows what's going on out there?
Yeah,
so,
hey.
That's just a theory. But yeah, kind of staying aware. And if you see something that doesn't look right, just call it in to the non-emergency number. If you see something that's really not right, call 911, but, Crime Stoppers, because it's going to take all of us trying to figure it out. But, just ignoring it's not going to make it any better.
Yeah, I actually had Crime Stoppers on the show, Saturday show a few weeks ago. I think they was doing something. The police was doing something at Alice Key Park at the time, and he was talking about uh how things go as far as calling in if you see something wrong, and that is what, to be honest with you, like that is what makes safer neighborhoods, when neighbors are looking out if they see something suspicious. That will let people know, or the word would go, hey, you go in that neighborhood, if you go down that street, they are looking out for each other. So hey, and that deters, and that kind of steers away some people knowing that that neighborhood is looking out for each other.
Yeah. And on our side, we've got the real time crime center, and we've got some
Yeah.
technology that we're putting to good use, and that's been very helpful in resolving some of these issues. We sometimes we get some visitors from other cities to our west coming and causing trouble. So
Yeah, they
trying
yeah.
trying to build up a reputation that you really don't want to come over to Beaumont. Just
Yeah.
stay where you're at.
Yeah, I don't know why sometimes, like you see people get arrested and be like from Houston or whatever. I'm thinking like, what gives you the idea that you could actually just come out here, and like Beaumont is that green where you can just come out here and rob and commit crimes, because most of these people do get caught.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just it, and that's the message we're trying to get out is yeah, don't think that just because we're small we don't have capabilities, because we do.
Have you been in? I'm pretty sure you have the live crime center. Like,
Yes.
do they allow outside people to come and just check that out?
Yeah, and they encourage tours, and so
Really?
yeah, just definitely reach out to us, and we'll set something up.
Now, as far as like programs and mentorship stuff, as far as the city, it's a lot of people that don't know that they have these type of programs out there. How can they find it? Where would they be able to look? Is it in the city page or?
So that is a good question. So I mentioned we've spent a lot of time on internships, mentorships,
Mhm.
and things like that over the last couple weeks. There are a lot of programs, including some that the cities are participating, through BISD. The mayor's got an effort that he's looking at doing the second week in July. There's a lot of programs out there, but you don't know about them, and so
No, you don't.
we're kind of late in the summer cycle right now. But looking towards next year, we want to formalize that and make it where we can get the word out earlier in the spring to say, look, are you interested? And not only is it just the city, but maybe it's the county or TxDOT or whomever, Lamar, whatever, and have maybe kind of a clearinghouse, like a one stop to say, if you're looking for an internship or a
Yeah.
mentorship or something, these are some places to look.
And we talked about as far as the roads and the drainage. You're actually as far as that passing on the bond. Are they actually working on that now?
So the bond was about $58 million. Council just approved last week the approval to move forward with issuing the bonds. So we're in that process right now. So we'll issue those bonds here in the next 60 days. That basically is going to provide the funding. Having said that, we're already working on some engineering. So that'll you'll start to see some work pretty soon.
Okay. Engineering, man. American engineering.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Well, I work at the engineering. I'm not. Hey, shout out to all the other countries out there, but the engineering is. Yeah, man. I'm like, I'm getting besides the point, but yeah. So y'all already have these. Do y'all already have the sidewalks that y'all are? That's not in the plan yet.
Well, no. So what part of that money, the 58 million, 10 million of it is for sidewalks. A portion of that is for a plan, because what we want to do is, instead of, just saying, well, we'll put one there, when we have, hundreds of miles of streets, what we want to do is develop a plan to say, okay, let's prioritize maybe around schools, around high traffic generators like parks and things like that, and kind of have a scoring system to say, look, these are priorities, and then make sure it's equitably distributed across the city, and come up with a scoring system to say, okay, let's do this, this, and this, because $10 million is a lot of money, but when you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of miles of streets that don't have sidewalks, it's just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I think the mayor did talk about that at one particular point, how they allowed people when they was building neighborhoods and they didn't let them build a sidewalk.
Yeah, it's not unique to Beaumont. So obviously, early on you had sidewalks, and then once cars started getting popular, you had kind of what they call greenfield suburbs, and so
Mm,
newer suburbs as you get further out from the center of the city just didn't have sidewalks because they just thought they were driving everywhere.
yeah.
So they just stopped having them. And so we've got a lot of, and even, cities like Austin, they've got a lot of catching up to do. So they have pretty aggressive programs, but we need to do the same because we've got a lot of sidewalks to look at.
That, to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons that attracted me to this neighborhood. They had sidewalks. I was like, oh, they got sidewalks. You could just walk, and you know, that was a good selling point for me. Oh, y'all got sidewalks. Streets pretty wide. Okay, that's
Yeah. And just a real quick, we did change the ordinance maybe about 10 years ago to say,
Mhm.
look, if you're going to build a new neighborhood in the city, it's got to have sidewalks. And like you'll notice new businesses that get built,
Yeah.
they'll have sidewalks in
Uh-huh.
front of them.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I
we
have
are
one of them.
requiring it where we can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. As far as like I said, as because the big issue is crime, and they are catching them. Um, does that affect? Do you think that's going to affect as far as the growth process that you see from Beaumont in the next few years? Is that something that you want to kind of get down first, and then you kind of roll out what you want to roll out?
Yeah. I mean, there's, whether you're talking about the schools or the crime, there's perception and there's reality. And, for some folks, perception is reality.
Mm,
And so it doesn't matter how many, statistics we can provide. Kind of once you ring the bell, it's hard to unring the bell. And so we need to, we definitely need to get these numbers down, so we can start to affect the perception.
yeah.
Yeah.
As far as like the young people, do you think we need more opportunities for them, or it's just like we said, it's just opportunities that they don't know about?
I think a little of both. I mean, it kind of goes back to, though there's nothing to do in Beaumont. Well, I always say, well, you're not looking,
Mm-hmm.
because if you actively look, it seems like there's always something going on. But you got to look a little bit. You got to put in an effort. So I think it's both. So we need to make sure that it's easy for parents to identify what opportunities are out there. But then again, we also have some gaps. So, we've got Sterling Pruitt on the north end.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the Melton anymore in the south end.
No.
So you talk about rec centers and opportunities, and, making sure that our young folks are, have something positive to do. That's one of the things we're looking at now, is to figure out how we can get, the equivalent of a Sterling Pruitt Center in the south side of the city to help with that. So it's both.
It was that was in one of the bonds, right?
It was.
See, man, I just think a lot of people that are complaining about certain things didn't vote, and that was in the bond. Like you said, as far as having something out the at Alice Keith Park or on the other side of town, that was in the bond, and I think a lot of people didn't realize how important that was, and now I think they're realizing like
But you mentioned Alice Keith, so I will give a quick shout out. You may be aware, Representative Manuel got us some funding through the legislature last session. So I think it's about, there's some money basically being allocated to Alice Keith. So we're going to do some improvements there, but also there's a component of that is a small computer lab, but also a podcasting lab.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. So that's being planned right now. I think I just signed the agreement yesterday.
Okay.
Parks Department. So anyway, we are, although it's not what we wanted in Alice Keith coming from the bond, but it is an improvement. But again, we're still working on different options to try to do something bigger and better in the South End.
Yeah, I have people that constantly hit me up for podcasting questions, and I think next month it's a kids camp. I'm supposed to talk to kids as far as starting a podcast, and so anything with podcasting. Like if they need some help, just let me know. Hey, I got an ear. You know what I'm saying? I love talking about it, so I talk about it often. So. Before we get out of here, man, what do you see Beaumont in the next 5 years, man? I know you got your vision board.
Yeah, again, where I'd like to be. Of course, I mentioned the population growth.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned focusing on the riverfront.
Mm-hmm.
Those focusing on trying to get an equivalent for Sterling Pruitt in the South Side.
Mm-hmm.
That's a priority. Um, getting these infrastructure projects underway and really completed by that point, and being in a good position where we've demonstrated to our citizens that, hey, we are good stewards of the money that y'all gave us through the first bond, and we want to do a little more. So when we come up to the next bond, so definitely be there, and then again, get our crime rate down enough where the perception starts to go in the right direction.
Because you did say the statistics show that it is going down, but it's just how technology and information is out there. As soon as something happens, and then it's like a little log that's already on the fire.
Yeah. And it's instant, and it's everybody knows it. And so, and flip sides, there's been some, as you know, some high priority stuff that doesn't matter what your statistics say, it's not help.
No, for real. And then, saying like, Beaumont has this issue, but it's cities all over America that's pretty much just going through the same thing that we're going through, and everybody's just trying to fight to find that right answer. So, well, I appreciate you coming on, man. You like you said, it's been a busy day for you. Are you gonna get to enjoy the weekend? Do you get to enjoy your weekends?
Usually we'll have something going on, but knock on wood, I think tomorrow may be clear. So
because you're usually off. I got a friend, Angel. My boy Angel Rodriguez. He says more. I don't even know what courts play. Futsal.
Yeah. So we have one at Central Park.
Okay.
Right there at College and 4th. So there's one right there.
College and 4th, a futsal court.
Central
What is
Park.
that?
Okay, well, he probably can explain it better than I can, but it is it's like a hard court soccer, small court soccer.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Angel. My bad. I be seeing them doing out there in Brazil.
I think that's where it grew out of.
Oh, okay, yeah, they be in Brazil doing that. Oh, hey, man, I used to play soccer too. So the World Cup is my thing. The World Cup going on right now. I think USA plays at 8.
Uruguay tonight.
Yep. So that's what that's what I'm looking forward to. But yeah, man. So he's talking about we need more futsal courts.
Okay. All right.
Holla at him, Angel. That's all you gotta do. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you coming on though, man. Like, it was dope meeting you.
Anytime. I appreciate the invitation.
Okay, so anybody, like I said at the beginning, if you missed any parts of this show, you can watch it on YouTube. And you can listen to it and link in, and you can listen to it on all streaming platforms. Like I said, iHeartRadio and such and such. But like I said, man, we have the show tomorrow, Hope in the Morning show. So y'all tap in 9 a.m. If y'all got anything going on, if y'all want to promote anything, you can call and you can tap in and we can see what's going on and we can help to get out there. And also we're recapping the week tomorrow 9 a.m. So y'all be safe out there. Y'all have a great weekend. I appreciate you coming on, Chris.
Yes, sir.
And y'all, hey man, y'all live life, man. We gone. We out of here.